Thomas and Friends Storytime. Thomas and the Three Cranes. A podcast story for kids, starring Thomas the Tank Engine. Based on the railway series by the Reverend W. Awdry. Created by Britt Allcroft. Read by Mark Morahan and friends. This is a story about Thomas the Tank Engine, a cheeky little blue steam engine. He is the #1 engine on Sir Topham Hatt's railway and has a whistle that sounds like this. So let's begin our story. Thomas and the Three Cranes. It was a very busy day on Sir Topham Hatt's railway, and Thomas had lots of jobs to do. First, Thomas had to pick up some passengers. Next, he had to pick up some coal trucks. Then Thomas raced to Brendam Docks. On his way, he saw Harold the helicopter.
Those trucks look heavy. Do you need some help, Thomas?
No thanks, Harold. I can do it. Sorry, can't stop.
When Thomas arrived at Brendam Docks, everyone was busy. Engines were shunting trucks, and the cranes were loading them as fast as they could.
What truck should I take next, Cranky?
Those ones on the other side of the docks, Thomas. Wait a second, I'll move that cargo out the way.
But Thomas was in too much of a rush. He didn't wait for Cranky to move the cargo, and he bumped into the trucks.
Look out!
The coal from the coal trucks and the timber that Cranky was unloading scattered all over the docks. One of the trucks even bent Carly's hook.
Thomas! Thomas!
But Thomas didn't hear Cranky calling. He was in too much of a rush. He raced away from the docks with no idea about the mess he had left behind. That night at Tidmouth Sheds, Thomas was feeling very pleased with himself.
I've been a really useful engine today.
But Gordon, Rebecca and Percy had heard a different story.
We heard you made a terrible mess, and Cranky was really upset with you.
And you bent Carly's hook.
And you didn't even say sorry.
Oh, no. I didn't know I'd done that. And I can't believe I didn't say sorry.
Later that night, all the other engines were asleep. But Thomas was wide awake and thinking about the accident he had caused at the docks.
I really wish I'd said sorry.
Then later, as Thomas was drifting off to sleep, he heard a voice.
Thomas! Thomas!
Thomas was very sleepy. Who could be calling him in the middle of the night? Thomas crept outside to see who it was.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Thomas looked around. He couldn't see anyone. Then the voice boomed out again.
Thomas!
Thomas looked up. And there, high above Tidmouth Sheds, amongst the clouds, loomed 3 cranes. Carly, Cassia, and in between them was Cranky.
We need to talk to you, Thomas. Come up here.
Thomas could see a steep railway track leading up into the clouds. Thomas was very nervous, but he puffed up the winding track, until at last he reached the 3 cranes.
Do you know what you did at the docks today, Thomas?
Cranky asked.
You caused a big accident.
Said Cassia.
And you bent my hook.
Said Carly.
I didn't realize it had happened. I'm really sorry. I'll do anything to make it right.
The 3 cranes turned to each other and began to talk quietly amongst themselves. Thomas waited until at last the 3 cranes turned and looked down at him. Then Cranky spoke.
Thomas, it has been decided you shall go on a quest and bring us back the Golden Hook.
The Golden Hook? Where will I find the golden hook?
You will find it deep in the dark forest.
Huh? The dark forest? But it's the middle of the night. I won't be able to see anything.
That is why you need to go to the Misty Hills. There, in an old tunnel, you will find the magic lamp.
But where are the Misty Hills?
Let me lift you up and point you in the right direction.
So Cranky lowered his hook, then lifted Thomas across the rails and put him on the right track to go to the Misty Hills.
Thanks, Cranky.
Thomas raced back down the steep track and into the night. Thomas searched the Misty Hills high and low, and at last he came across the old tunnel. As he got closer, he could see a light shining from inside.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Thomas felt a gust of wind coming from the tunnel. And then he heard a voice.
I am Proteus.
It was Proteus, an old mountain engine. Legend had it that Proteus had a magical lamp.
Proteus? I've heard tales about you. Wait, your magical lamp. That's what I'm looking for. I need it to help me find the golden hook.
Then let this lamp guide your way.
Then, as if by magic, the lamp appeared on Thomas's funnel.
Wow! Thanks, Proteus.
And so, with the magical lamp lighting his way, Thomas headed off. Soon, Thomas was inside the dark forest. The light from the lamp made lots of shadows in the twisted trees, but Thomas couldn't find the golden hook anywhere. Then, Thomas heard an owl hooting.
Oh, hello, Mr. Owl. I don't suppose you know where the golden hook is, do you? Hook. Wait, did you just say hook? Hook. Are you going to show me where the hook is? Hook.
The owl took flight, and Thomas followed, deeper and deeper into the dark forest, until at last, Thomas and the owl came to a clearing. There in front of them, shining in the moonlight, was the golden hook. It was sitting on a truck, ready and waiting for Thomas to collect. Thomas coupled up to the truck and raced to Tidmouth's sheds as fast as he could go. Soon Thomas reached the tall tracks that led to the cranes. The tracks were very steep, and the golden hook was very heavy. Thomas pulled as hard as he could, but he was going slower and slower.
Must pull harder.
Thomas was about to give up when he heard Harold the helicopter flying overhead.
That looks very heavy, Thomas. Need some help?
Yes, please, Harold.
The hook was very heavy, but the two friends worked together, and at last, they got to the top of the hill.
Oh, thanks, Harold.
No problem, Thomas. Cheerio.
Thomas arrived in front of Cranky, Cassia, and Carly.
Ah, Thomas, I see you've brought us the golden hook.
I have, and I'm sorry that I bent Carly's hook. I shouldn't have been rushing. And most of all, I'm sorry that I didn't say sorry.
The three cranes agreed that Thomas was a really useful engine. Thomas was very happy. He had made everything better. As Thomas smiled a happy smile, the light from the magical lamp faded, and Thomas was left in darkness. Thomas opened his eyes. It was the morning, and he was back in his shed.
What a strange dream I had.
Thomas rolled slowly outside.
Or was it a dream?
He glanced up above the roof of Tidmouth Sheds. There was no sign of Cranky, Cassia or Carly anywhere. Just sky.
I'd better go to the docks and say sorry.
But when Thomas got there, the cranes were very cheerful.
Hello, Thomas.
They're not upset with me anymore.
We're glad you're here, Thomas. We need you to take a delivery to the animal park right away.
But Thomas was so excited that he went a bit too fast and bumped into some trucks. But this time, Thomas remembered to say sorry.
Sorry!
As Thomas pulled away, the morning sun was rising into the sky. It sparkled on the sea and across the docks. Carly's hook gleamed in the sunlight as if it were made of gold. Maybe it hadn't been a dream after all. The end. Listen out for other adventures with Thomas and Friends Storytime. Parents, if you like what you heard, please leave us a review and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Tell your friends too.